It has happened. We have finally seen the entirety of the first chapter. With that in mind, I want to revisit some previous secret labs and make some adjustments. I'll stick with the most recent 3 color pairings I've done to keep it simple. For Amethyst Steel, I've touched up the control deck, making something I like to call Frozen Heart. We keep the core damage package, Giant Fairy with Tiny Tactician to shift onto, fire the cannons with Captain the Jolly Roger to replay them, and grab your sword, as well as the core draw tools, Friends on the Other Side, Maleficent Sorceress, and Beast's Mirror. We also keep Forceful Duelist as a 1-drop, so you have something to play if you go first. For updates, Han's 13th in line is fantastic with his on-quest ping, letting you safely reap lore while taking things out. In that same vein is Ka Heartless, who on a successful challenge nets you 2 lore, a cheaper heroic outlaw without the lore loss for the opponent. For Ka and Giant Fairy, I've swapped out Elsa Snow Queen for Freeze. Yes, it's uninkable, and yes, it's not repeatable, but you don't need to wait for the ink to dry, and you're not telegraphing what's about to happen. Freeze lets you pick your challenge targets. For new tools and card advantage, we run the Queen Wicked and Vain, who will probably never quest and rarely challenge. Getting to draw a card for free every turn is absolutely worth 5 ink. And one of my new favorite cards, Dr. Facilier, Agent Provocateur, who lets us freely use Giant Fairy and Ka in lethal challenges because you just get to play them again. 7 ink is a steep price, so we round out the deck with Dr. Facilier Charlatan to give the agent a shift target. Remarkable Gentleman is probably a better overall card, but with only 2 songs, it's not worth it having him compete at the same price point as Sorceress and Tiny Tactician. This way, our curve can be Forceful Duelist, Charlatan, Tiny Tactician, Giant Fairy, Agent Provocateur, Heartless, with removal along the way as needed. This deck wants to keep a good-sized hand and make sure your opponent never keeps anything in play for long. If items start becoming a problem, slot out some of the more expensive end for some beast hard-headeds. For Emerald Ruby, we have a couple more evasives as well as some new payoffs. For the deck I'm calling Neener Neener, we can run Peter Pan Never Landing, Pongo Old Rascal, Tinkerbell Most Helpful, Goofy Daredevil, Tigger Wonderful Thing, Genie on the Job, and Genie Powers Unleashed. As an additional shift target for that last one, we also run Genie the Ever Impressive. This is a majority evasive deck, and On the Job is still a fantastic removal tool. We also run Emerald characters that opponents will want to avoid. Flynn Rider Charming Rogue, Cheshire Cat Not All There, Cusco Temperamental Emperor, and Mad Hatter Gracious Host, who also provides some much needed card draw. To round things out, we run Minnie Mouse, Always Classy, as a high willpower 1-drop, Dragonfire to get rid of anything, and Steal from the Rich as a win condition. The idea is to build up a large board that our opponent either can't or doesn't want to challenge into, then play Steal from the Rich and quest out, putting ourselves massively ahead. Powers Unleashed can even play it for free, letting us continue to build our board at the same time. The previous version of this ran Aladdin's for lore stealing, but I wanted to focus this deck in on avoiding challenges. A solid curve for this deck would be Minnie, Flynn Rider, Peter Pan, Pongo, Goofy, On the Job. If you absolutely find yourself needing to remove stuff early on, Mother Knows Best would be a good slot in. The last color pair, Amber Sapphire, is the trickiest because there are a couple ways you could go about it, but I decided to lean into the item synergy angle, provisionally titling this, Look at This Stuff. The point is to get Ariel Who's It Collector, Belle Strange But Special, and Tamatoa So Shiny to quest for ridiculous amounts of lore. We also have Maurice, World Famous Adventure for draw, and Hades Infernal Schemer for removal, and Robin Hood Unrivaled Archer for a bit more draw and challenging smaller evasives. To get to the expensive stuff, we run Grammatala Storyteller and One Jump Ahead for ramp, and Be Our Guest for a bit of filtering draw. Since this is an item-focused deck, we need items. First, all the cheap ones, Magic Golden Flower, Dinglehopper, and Scepter of Arendelle. These are easy triggers for Maurice and Ariel, and easy to spam out for Tamatoa. We can also use the flower and get it back with Tamatoa. We also have Lantern for a bit more ramp, and even though it's a little pricey, Eye of the Fates, because if we can give Ariel +1 lore, she becomes ridiculous. To top it off, we run Let It Go for a bit more removal. You may have noticed that this is a very top-heavy deck. You will never play anything on turn 1 because you want to save your items for Maurice and Ariel, and in all likelihood you will skip over turn 3 with one of the 2-cost ramp pieces. The idea is to get to a high ink as quickly as you can and start questing for a stupid amount of lore. That said, this is the deck I'm least confident in, as it again has basically no lower end and mostly conditional draw. I think for right now, Amethyst or Steel are better pairings for this sort of deck, as they have better draw tools, but consarn we'll try to make this work. The main thing Amber is giving us is Lantern, which is very, very nice for getting to Tamatoa as quickly as possible. Be on the lookout for new gameplay videos using these revamped decks. Pixelborn has added all the new cards, but is a little buggy right now, so I might use TTS until those all get ironed out.